Hi, it's Kane Hodder, Jason from Friday the 13th. You're watching Slash and Cast. Keep watching, or I'll kill you and your whole family.
What's going on, horror fans? Welcome to another episode of Slash and Cast. My name is Riley, and that's Nick. And today we are doing our first review of 2017, which belongs to the one and only Blair Witch. This movie did come out last year, but we figured since we're reviewing a movie in January, we should do a bad one.
Yeah.
And why not? Why not? Now, Blair Witch technically is a sequel, per se, to the 1999 original Blair Witch Project, but it's totally a remake, if you're asking me. It's pretty much the exact same movie with a few more characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the exact same thing. But the synopsis is as reads, after discovering a video showing what he believes to be his vanished sister Heather, James and a group of friends head to the forest believed to be inhabited by the Blair Witch.
Familiar, yeah.
Familiar, exactly. You take out that sister idea, and it's the same movie. Now, it's interesting because they pull in the reason they're filming it is to turn it into a documentary.
Yeah.
And now all of them have these really fancy head cams, these little earlobe cameras.
As you can see on our main character.
Yeah, on James. It's just kind of, first of all, really nice cameras. If cameras like that could really do that.
Yeah.
I think James, it's kind of hard to get behind a character that really has no sense of urgency to find his sister. Now, I understand this has been 4 years after Heather disappeared. But seriously, it still doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. We get to the point where at the very beginning, he says, that's my sister. I'm going to contact the people that found this video and posted it, and we're going to go out there and go to that house and find her. And then time passes, and he's playing Borderlands 2 on the Xbox. Like, if I was in that position and my sister was missing for these years and there's a chance to, go find her, maybe she's still alive, I'd be like, let's go now. Get your shit. We're going.
Yeah.
But no, he's playing Borderlands and, we'll go in a couple days. Yeah.
No, it doesn't even make sense that they're filming him watching the video in the first place. Why did she decide to start the documentary there?
Yeah.
It really just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then they get to the woods and stuff happens in the night. They have to pitch a tent because they can't go any farther. And they all wake up and say, oh, crazy shit's going on. We need to go. And he's like, yep, let's go. Not like, oh, my sister, man.
Yeah, we can't leave. Then we get the same line from him. Pretty much the only time he ever mentions his sister is just like, oh, man, I really thought she might be out here. I really thought this is my chance.
Yeah. There was 4 times he said that.
Yeah,
in the first half hour, really.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, man. It was hard to get behind James. So I do think he did a good job.
Yes.
I don't know. James McCune just kind of, it was kind of hard to, it's hard to stay behind someone like that. I don't know. I feel like the only person I truly liked throughout the film was Wes Robinson as Lane. Now, Wes Robinson and, James have a bit of a connection because James reaches out to Lane because Lane apparently made this video that he saw his sister in, right?
Or posted it at least.
Posted it on YouTube, and he says he knows where that location's at. So James and his friends meet up with Lane and his girlfriend, and they decide they want to pitch along. It's like, hey, you're going, we're coming with. It was like, okay.
Yeah, they have the little meeting, and they're like, we don't really have a choice.
Yeah, so now it's 6 people in the woods. All of them have really nice cameras, which doesn't make any sense. It also speaking of which not making sense in that, this would be the year 2003, right? Blair Witch took place in 99. Now we're 4 years later, 2003.
They got some advanced technology.
Yeah, they had these. Do you know how expensive that would be in 2003? And then she's rocking a DSLR, a high quality 7D DSLR.
And he's rocking an older camcorder.
Then they're flying a DJI Phantom 4 out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just so as for time and equipment wise, it doesn't make sense. But for the sake of the story, it had to be done. I get it. We'll skip over that and try not to hate it for that reason. But yeah, they decide to come along, but within a half an hour, they're gone. They get caught faking this Blair Witch. They hang up the sticks like the Blair Witch logo like we saw in the original.
Yeah.
and they get caught faking that, and they're like, all right, get out of here.
Yeah, they were like, we just wanted, people to come with to start, believing in it, but they needed to kickstart it, I guess, kickstart the shit going down. And yeah, they were having none of that. They said, get out and bye.
Right, and then they said there was a whole bunch of noise that night going into that morning. There's a whole bunch of noise and the trees falling and stuff. But they claimed that they didn't make any of that noise. So after hearing all that noise, clearly some arguably supernatural stuff going on in the woods, why did they feel the need to still make the Blair Witch crosses? It was just another cheap way to get them out of there.
Yep.
Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to a character that is so bad in this movie, it hurt. Corbin Reed as Ashley was awful. Okay? Now, actually, here, this is right after she hurt her foot. By the way, every time she steps on this foot, and it sounds like she's snapping like a femur.
Oh yeah, it sounds like ankles broken, leg broken every time. Then he even picks her leg up and she goes and you just snap.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like are you made of glass?
Yeah. Oh, I broke my.
Every morning I break both my arms, and every evening I break both my legs. From SpongeBob, shout out,
dude. It seriously, it was every time they were just exaggerating, and this whole movie is exaggerated sound effects because obviously you can't push music too much. It does have music, by the way, to a degree. It's simple bass hums, just you add tone and tension, which is fine. But yeah, it's.
And then she slowly gets sicker, and then Well, really, after this foot, she can barely get up, barely walk on it. And then they get to the camp, and she's fine. She's walking around, pitching the tent, doing whatever. Then, she's getting a little sick. It's infected. Then, time to start walking again. Oh, it's fine. And then a little bit later, snap! Oh, no! And then, of course, once more crazy stuff goes down, she can run away.
Right. I mean, let's just hope that was an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Now, we do see her cut later as her boyfriend Peter is looking at it, who we see here. And it has a bulging move to it, like something was inside of it, right?
It made another snap sound.
And then they made a big deal about, Peter made a big deal about that something was in there, And we really don't ever really understand what it is. Later, we do see up her calf once it ends up getting wounded later, and a worm-looking centipede type thing comes out.
She pulls it out, but
which really doesn't make any sense.
I
either.
thought they were pushing the idea she was possessed. Something's inside of her. Poking around, trying to scare him. But
yeah, none of it really makes any sense. But really, I would say since we were discussing Peter, Brandon Scott as Peter, not bad. He was actually one of the more likable characters in the film. But as cliche as can be, he is the first to go. Thank you, Blair Witch. Multiple times this movie plays off horror movies cliches, and in a bad way.
Yep.
Now, I understand why he had to go, but I think you should have taken Ashley out first, or even Talia, one of the weirder ones, to take her out first would have been better.
I mean, yeah. Ashley makes it. She's one of the last to die, and really both their roles between these two characters could have been reversed, where she dies first and then he dies the way that she did, because it really could have been switched either way, and I think that would have been better. He was more of a comic relief of the film, really.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning, he kept looking at the camera like The Office. Like just really.
Really.
But yeah, it is a shame he did die first, but
of course,
true.
But this whole movie up until the climax is straight up very cliche, poorly built suspense, extremely poorly written, and it's if you hate jump scare movies, stay away from Blair Witch, because that's all it is. The entire movie is jump scares.
Oh, I do admit there were a couple good ones that kind of freaked us out, with hands coming out of nowhere.
I don't even think. I think the only time that we were really bothered in the movie was towards the climax in the end, when things were slow paced and built up, when we didn't know what was coming.
Yes,
that's better.
There were a couple times where our main woman, Lisa, she was, she was looking at a camera in the thing, and she kept looking, and then would look down, and then look back up to the view of the camera, and all of a sudden, bam! Right there is Ashley. Like, you
Right.
didn't hear her, you didn't see her in the camera. There's no way she could have got that fast. And then as soon as she's done putting her back in the tent, James comes up and he's out of breath. He's been running. You didn't hear that before? Like, yeah, and that was a jump scare right there.
See, jump scares are okay if they're well built and if they're not a false jump scare and we actually get something. Like, that's why when the arms like come out and it was like the witch grabbing her, that's okay.
I think there was 2 or 3 good ones out of a lot.
Yeah, about the whole movie.
Yeah.
You have 90 minutes of just jump scares. Yeah, the problem, they're mostly false jump scares. There's other characters behind other characters, and they're not just they grab them and there's no music or like a loud hit. Every single one has a super loud hit of noise, really, not music.
And then, of course, because it's a found footage, you just see frickin' sways just, what's going on? And then, oh, it's fine. Everything's fine, guys.
Right. Towards the end, we're down to pretty much just James and Lisa, and he goes off and he finds his house that he thought he saw in the video with where he thought he saw Heather. And this is where things start getting a little bit better. We start getting actual well-built tension, and the mood is a lot better. Once you get out of the woods and stop taking away from the 99 Blair Witch Project, it got a lot more interesting because it wasn't the same shit we saw last time. But they go into the house, and we see glimpses of Peter. We see glimpses of like the witch, which you never get a good look at the witch, by the way, which is very cool actually to not actually get that answered for us. You get a quick glance
Twice.
Yeah, when Lisa's going through the camera, you get
and then a little bit before you could see just a flash,
right,
which is good.
But when they're in this house, they run back into Lane, and Lane, this is not a 1 day later Lane. This is a good, like, a year later, full beard, long, shaggy hair Lane. And that's interesting because later we heard Lane saying, like,
when was the last time you saw us?
Yeah, they're like,
well, we just saw you this morning when we split up. He's like, it's been 6 days. And then the sun is never coming up. And then they leave, or he leaves. And then they go back to sleep, and Lisa wakes up to an alarm. It's weird. I set the alarm for 7, but it's still dark out. They go outside, pitch black. So that is kind of a cool element there. The sun never comes up.
Right. I'm kind of interested in how time actually worked. What changed for Lane? Like what? Looks like he's been there for a year.
Oh yeah, he had a big beard, really shaggy hair, dirty, just very dirty. Maybe that was exaggerated. Maybe this was his plan all along. Who knows? That was a little plot hole we didn't get fully filled.
Right.
Unless you paid really close attention.
Yeah, there's kind of some... it seems like they were trying to tell us answers to questions, but it just kind of never really...
Yeah.
You can't... You were just kind of throwing shit out into the air here. Another part, we see Lisa running with the camera at one point. She's running upstairs, and we get a glance. It's literally shot for shot the exact same thing that James watched in the YouTube video earlier.
Yep.
So you see Heather again through that same window, that glance of her. It's the exact same thing. And now I don't know what they're trying to say, because Lane claims that he needs to do what the witch is telling him. He needs to trap Lisa. And then Lisa saying that it just didn't make any sense.
Right.
So it's like they're stuck in a continuous loop. Now is Lisa going to try trapping somebody to...
And sorry to go way back, but when they first started pitching tent, Lane is telling the story. If you spend the night here, they'll get you. But they spent the night there before, and they're like, "Oh, how come they didn't get you?" It's like I guess you're right. Maybe they did get me, and this is a plan all along. And now you really think about it, and that is a possibility. They left that plot hole open,
right?
And we didn't get an answer to that.
So then it brings back the question: did Heather trap him?
And is he already trapped and brought his girlfriend along this time, or maybe the girlfriend was also part of the plan, to get them trapped.
Right. It's just a mess of freaking
It really
questions.
is.
Like, I don't even think the writers know what they were trying to go for. But then we get to the ending, and we're down to just Lisa, and, Lisa's still trying to film all this, but the only way she's able to see anything is with her camera. So she's running this camera in reverse, because if you look at the witch, you die. That's that was technically what was established. It was kind of
That was established at the end.
Yeah.
In the last 2 minutes of the film, they said, don't look at her.
Yeah, they talked about it earlier when they're at the campfire. He's like, well, if you look at her, they say that you get so scared that you die. But, we get to that end, and Lisa is still looking with the camera in the back. Now, this is an edited picture. This is not what that still is from. So the background's not the same. She's in the house at this point in the movie, and she's holding the camera so she can see out the camera behind her,
And that's when you see the witch for just a split second.
Right. But just before that happened, she saw James. It seemed like James was hearing Heather's voice. He was hearing his sister's voice. When he heard that, he turned around, looked at the witch, died. Okay? And now she's like, all right, can't turn around. She starts looking through the camera. She starts walking through the house. And then she hears James' voice. And
Lisa.
Yeah. And then she's like, James, then turns around.
And dead.
Yeah. It's like, and that was seriously it.
Camera dropped, and we were expecting, one more jump scare. But we actually didn't get one.
Yeah.
And credits roll.
Yep. That was it. It's really was just a mess of a movie.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, Wes Robinson as Lane and Callie Hernandez as Lisa were great, I would say. They really did a good job.
Right. Now, like, Brandon Scott was okay as well as Peter, and James McCoon was all right as James as well. It's just, I think Wes Robinson and Callie Hernandez stole this movie.
Yes.
But then again, there wasn't much to steal because the movie's kind of a mess as it is.
Yes.
You had some good performers there. It just seemed like writing-wise, it was a complete mess, and it is straight up a rip-off. I don't even want to say a rip-off, but it's a remake. Pretty much the exact same thing you got from Blair Witch Project with a little bit of twist towards the end and a mess of what is supposed to be a twist ending.
Right.
Per se. But, I mean, on IMDb, the movie has a 5.1 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes sits at a 35%, so it's obviously not excelling too high in the critic and fan worlds. But, I mean, if you haven't seen Blair Witch Project, this could be entertaining for you. If you have seen it, might be, I don't know. If you, like, are really big into Blair Witch, if you like Blair Witch 2, I'll tell you you'll like this one. But nobody likes Blair Witch 2, so
yeah,
it's just the same crap. So, all right, let's move on to our reviews of the film. Out of 5 ugly witches, Nick, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 2 as well. For us, it sits out of 4 out of 10.
A little bit higher than the Rotten Tomatoes rating, but still down there.
Yeah, it's underneath the IMDb rating at least.
Yeah.
It was just a mess.
It did have a lot of potential though, and if it was only an hour and 29 minutes. I mean, if they could have filled more story there and stretched it out a little bit longer, maybe it would be a little higher. But since so much stuff I feel was left open, and it's also a blatant ripoff, that really it wasn't a good movie.
Right. It did flow better than most found footage films, I'll say.
Right.
But it's still, when you're stuck with found footage and the lack of music and tone, you're stuck with the false jump scares, and that's just too bad.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest downfalls of the film by far.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's going to be it from us. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Of course, make sure you go check out our other YouTube channel at youtube.com/RJProductionsExtras. There you will find the other podcast that we run called the MWM Project that covers all movies, television, and video games other than just horror, like Slash and Cast. And of course, make sure you go check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/RJL Productions. That is where we post the links to every videos, including the MWM Project and Slash and Cast, and our fan films and other films. Everything is there. That goes for Twitter as well, twitter.com/RJL_Productions. And of course, if you really are dedicated, head over to rjlproductions.net. Join that email notification list. It's as simple as typing her in and clicking notify me. That's all you got to do, and then we will send you an email every time we post something or something goes up on the website. That's great stuff.
Definitely.
But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.